Hello guys, today we're going to be implementing stack, alright, which is a data structure. I think by far the easiest data structure to learn. We're going to be implementing it in C. So without wasting much time, let's start. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a structure, alright. I'm going to call it struct. I'm going to call it, okay, I'm just going to call it stack, right. I'm going to make it stack with a K without the C, and you can name it however you want. And inside this, I'm just going to declare a variable int stack, okay, int stack, and I'm just going to give it a size like that, all right. And what else should we do? And if you've learned stack, you probably know that there is a variable called top, and what top is, it's going to be equal to -1 if the stack is empty, and depending on how you fill the stack, it's going to go all the way up till size -1. Alright, and why size -1? Well, you know that an array, so if I put size is, let's say, I don't know, if I put size is equal to 5, then it's going to start from 0 and it's going to go till 4. So there are actually 5 elements, right? There are 5 elements, 0 to 4. And if you look at 4, it's 1 less than the size that's specified. And so we'll actually look into that when we further start programming. So before this, I'm just going to, of course, I have to do the hash include my header files, sti.h. I'm just going to include one more, std.ib.h, right? And oops, there seems to be hash include, right? I'm going to also make a preprocessor directive, hash define my size. I'm going to make it to, I don't want to make it too big. Alright, let's just give 5 elements, alright? And so hash define size, basically it's a preprocessor directive. It's going to, once I compile, before I compile a program, it's just going to replace everything which has the size, and it's going to replace it with the number 5. That's pretty much all it does. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, stack var. Stack var is going to be my stack variable with which I'm going to access the structure. That's pretty much it for the structure part. So I have my stack, which is an array of size depending on whatever we define it, and we have a variable top. Alright, well, let's start with our main function. And the main function, so basically what we're going to do is, that in a stack you have the push functionality, you have the pull functionality, you have the feature to sorry, it's not a push and pull, it's push and pop, and you have peek, right? Peek lets you see whatever's on top of the stack, and then you have like the display or traverse, whichever, whatever you like to call it. It basically shows you the entire stack. And last, I think you have the exit, just to exit out of the program. And what we want to do is we want to put all these like options in a loop, so that the user can choose like one after the other. Let's say I first want to push an element, and after, I want to push like 3 elements. So I want to keep this in a loop, right? So after I push my first element, it's going to ask me again what I want to do, and then I'm going to push my next element. So one after the other, I should be able to push. So even before that, we need to ask the user to enter their option, right? Enter your option, all right? And you want to make a new line there, close, and scanf to receive the input. I'm going to take %d because it's going to be a number, and it's going to be ampersand. Where's my ampersand? All right, option, right? And I'm going to initialize it into option, okay? And even before that, one thing we haven't done is we haven't initialized top, right? We have to also do that over here, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to stack var dot top and equate it to -1, all right? this is the condition just to show that the stack at the moment is empty. All right. If it's -1, it means it's empty. Okay. And so even before you ask for your option, you still need to show all the options, right? You need to show the user like what is what. So I'm going to ask, like, I'm going to say 1 is for push. Okay. Put a new line, and then we'll put option 2 is for pop. Put a new line, and then I'm going to put 3 is for pull. All right, you have a new line, and 4 is for peak. I think it was peak. Okay, then you have finally you have 5 for exit. Okay, so once this is done, the new line, close. So the user is going to see 1 is for push, 2 is for pop, and then he or she's going to enter their option. All right, and once you get that option, what you want to do is, depending on what the number is, so if it's 1, you have to do something. If it's 2, you have to do something else. So depending on what the option is, you need to do different tasks. So for that, the best thing you can do is put your option in a switch case, and you put case from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You need to choose all the cases. And I'm not going to start with case 1. I'm going to start with case 5. I'll explain that in a minute. And we need a break. Okay, for case 5, you don't need a break. I'll explain why. And then case 1. And finally, you have a default case to show for, like, if you don't actually enter anything from 1 to 5, you enter something like 10 or 7, you just have to print invalid option. Okay, so I'm going to put a new line. I like to end all my printfs with a new line. It's just so that, you know, the control goes to the next line. It just makes your output much more better to look at. All right, so case 5, I'm going to put an exit function. All right, what exit does is it takes a value and it just exits out of the program, like the entire program. It just ends the program. So that's what we want, right? And the reason why I put case 5 first is because if in case your first option is to exit, your control doesn't have to go through all the other options and then come to exit. It can just go directly to case 5 exit. Okay, it just makes your code more efficient. That's why I put the exit case as the very first option. And also, I don't put a break statement after it because, you know, once you're exiting, you don't really need a break. So it's pretty much redundant if you put a break right after this case 5. All right, so now case 1 is to case 1 is to push an element. So let's write the code. So basically, if you want to push element, you need to actually get the element first. So you ask your user, printf, enter your element, enter the element you wish to push. So enter element to push, right? And put a new line, and I close that, and I get my, scanf, the user enters. All right, put an ampersand element. All right, so now the user has entered the element. I'm just going to declare it over here as well quickly. Element, there you go. And once we received it, what we need to do is we need to give that to your push function, which we're going to declare. We're going to declare, and we're going to define the function in a minute. So I'm going to give the element over there to my push, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you have to do for your case 1. All right. Okay. So now once we've got to push, we need to now declare push, right? So I'm going to declare it over here. I'm going to declare my push, and we need to, the push function takes in a value, and it takes in an integer value. So I'm going to put int over here as its parameter, and it doesn't return anything, so it's a void, type void. It's a void function because it doesn't return any value. Another way you can look at this is this part is called the input and this part is the output. So the push, it takes an input, but it doesn't really give you an output. Now by output, printing onto the screen cannot be considered as an output. by output I mean it needs to give you some number, some value. That's what I mean by output. So here it's not going to give us anything back. It may print something, but it's not going to give us anything back. Just like push, we also need a pop function. However, pop does not take anything because pop is like just basically removing something. And I actually want to see what the value that I popped. So I'm going to be returning that value, and because of that I'm going to make this of type int. We also need a, alright, I put push, pop, I put pull. I don't know what pull is. Okay, I don't really know why I wrote pull, so I'm just going to erase that. Okay, I just saw it now actually. And this is going to be option 3 and 5. Oh, this is going to be 4. So push, pop, peek, and exit. I really don't know where this pull keeps coming from. I think it's like push, pull, you know. Alright, so I think we have to change this now. Those will become 4, 1, and we don't need this 4th one, right? Yeah, we don't need this. Okay, that's fixed. So 4 is now exit. Great. So we have push, we have pop, we have peek. Peek returns the top values, so it's going to be an int peek, right? And yeah, it doesn't take anything, so it's just empty here. And exit doesn't, oh, you don't need anything for exit. And last we need 2 more functions, and this is something, it's to check whether the stack is full or it's empty. So I'm going to call it is full and is empty, and it returns a positive, it returns a 1 if the stack, so basically first one is full, and what is full does is it returns a 1 if the stack is full, and it returns a 0 if the stack is empty. So that's why it's of type int. And another one is called is empty, and what is empty does is it returns a 1 if it's empty and a 0 if it's not empty. So this is all the functions that we're going to be using in this program. I'm just going to quickly copy that. Okay, let me just close this. And you're not actually done here. This is for the while loop. Okay, we're not done here. Let me just write my return 0 for my main function. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly paste all those functions over here, because this is where we're going to define our functions over here. All right. Over here, I'm going to call it int ele, right? Whatever thing that's going to be pushed into the stack. I'm going to call it int ele. Let's call it ele, okay? So we did this much, and another thing you need to remember is, so we did everything to push. All right, we pushed it, and the thing is, as I told you, I want this to keep coming. So once I push one element, I want it to ask me again for all these options, because, you know, I'm not done. I want to push more stuff. So to keep this thing, you know, coming one after the other, I need to put it inside a while loop. So I'm going to declare a while loop, curly braces. Okay, I need to indent everything so it looks nice. All right, and I'm going to close my while loop. Great. So this is the first part of our program. We did the structure, we declared all our functions, and we wrote the first case. We wrote just case 1. Let's check if it works up till now. We're going to check it part by part so that, you know, in the end, if we find an error, it's not going to be overwhelming. We can fix all our errors as we do the program. So it's called stack YT for stack YouTube, obviously. And let me close it. All right, so let me just compile stack yt.c, and there seems to be an, all right, this is just a typo. I wrote elmetn instead of element. Let me just fix that real quick. So where is that? All right, over here. The spelling is incorrect. Element, right? That seems to have fixed it. So let's try it again. And there's no errors. Let's write let's try running it. All right, a.out. So as you can see, let me just zoom in a bit. All right. So as you can see, we have, all right, enter your option, push, pop, peek, exit. So if I press exit, whoa, all right, 1 second. My numpad was not, turn on numpad, okay. Let's try that again. So if I press on exit, all right, it exits. If I press on option 4, it exits. If I press on push, it asks me my element, whatever I want to push, so I want to put push 50. It then asks me again what I want to do next, right? All right, so everything that we did up till now is working. Let's continue doing the rest. I didn't really like how the next option came right underneath, so I'm going to put some more spaces, some more new lines, sorry, so that it prints a little bit under. All right, so the next thing, case 2, is to pop, and for popping, we're just going to print. All right, I'm going to print F. I'm just going to print %D, whatever we're popping has been popped. All right, new line, and I'm going to call the function. This is all we have to do for popping. It's just going to pop an element, and we're going to be able to see which element it popped. Case 3 is to peek, and all you have to do is just peek. Or I'm just going to call the peek function over here. It's just going to show you what's on top of the stack, and that's it. So let's go ahead and let's define our push. Actually, yeah, let's define push. So to define push, all we have to do is we just have to push an element into the stack, right? So first thing we need to check is if the stack is full. Because if the stack is full, then you can't really push any more elements. So we do if is full, right? Is it full? If it's full, then we can't push anything. So we print stack is full, can't push. All right. So now we need to write the code for the is full function. So we'll go head right over here, and basically is full just checks if, so we're just going to check if a certain condition is true or false. What that condition is basically is if our top, right, if our top is equal to, all right, we need to use two equal to signs because we're not assigning anything, we're checking. This is, it's going to check if the left side is equal to the right side. So if top is equal to our size, if you remember we put something called size, if it's size minus 1, if this is true, then it means it's full, our stack is full. And we're going to just return, we're just going to return what this evaluates to. So basically it's going to check if top equal to size minus 1. If it's true, we're going to return a 1. If this is false, we're going to be returning a 0. And that works perfectly. So if this is true, is full will be 1, and this if condition will work, and it's going to print stack is full, can't push. And if that is false, what we're going to do is we're going to put an else condition, and we're going to just bring it to now, we're going to insert into the stack. Also, another thing very important is we can't just write top here. We have to write stack var dot top because it's inside the structure, and to access the structure you need to access it through the stack variable. To access both the stack and the top, we need to use stack var dot. All right, if it's not full, all you have to do is stack var dot stack, right? Our array is called stack, and we put stack of plus stack var dot top, and this should be equal to our element, which is ELE. All right, this may look a bit confusing, so I'm just going to quickly explain to you what this is. So this is our stack variable, basically to access the structure. This is our array, which we declared over here. This is this, okay? And we're going to enter it into the incremented value of top. Top is -1 initially. So when we enter our first element, it's going to be 0. So basically what this does is it's going to be stack of 0. To stack of 0, we're going to enter element. That's simple. That's all it does. It just looks really confusing, but it's pretty much all that it does. To stack of 0, it's going to enter our first element. Okay, that's it. So we entered our first element. So let's now try if this works. Let's try it. Remember, we need to always try after each and every code. So let me quit that. Let me try. So there are no errors, and I'm just going to run it. So enter your option. I want to push. I'm going to enter 50, and okay. So I guess it pushed. I'm going to try pushing again. I'm going to put 10. Push again. I'm going to put 20. Push again. I'm going to put 30. Keep pushing until it's going to show me that it's full. Right. Alright, see, so after I pushed 60, it says stack is full, can't push. So, which means that the push and the is full function both seem to be working. So now let's carry on with the remaining code. I also want to show that it got pushed, like confirmation. So I'm going to put a printf over here and I'm going to write %d, right, has been pushed. All right, it's just like a confirmation message. Okay, so since push is working fine, let's move on to pop. So for pop, we need to the same logic basically. If it's empty this time, if it's empty, right? If it's empty, it means you can't pop anything, right? So we print basically the stack is empty, can't pop. That's all there is, and we close this. Let's close that up. So because we are calling the isEmpty function, let's define it over here. IsEmpty, all it does is just like the isFull function, but this time it checks if top is -1. Because if you remember, top equal to -1 is a condition to show that the stack is empty. Whoops. It's to show that the stack is empty. And that's all it needs to check. If top is -1, it means that the stack is empty. So if it's empty, you can't pop anything. There's nothing in the stack, right? If it is empty also, what we're going to do is we're going to return -1. Alright, -1 means that the stack is empty. And if that's not the case, I'm just going to return normally. I'm going to do is I'm going to do stack var dot stack. All right, and finally again stack var dot top, and over here what I'm going to do is I'm going to put minus. All right, what this does is return this. All right, so this basically what this does is if it's empty, all right, it's going to show yes, the stack is empty, it can pop, return -1, and the function ends right over here. It just ends over here. However, if that's not the case, if this fails, it's going to come over here and it's going to return stack variable dot stack of stack variable top minus. It's going to return whatever there is on top, and then it's going to decrement. It's going to return whatever there is on the top, and then it's going to decrement, so you know the top gets decremented, because remember that when you pop, your stack needs to decrement one step. So our pop function is done, our empty function is done. Let's now check it out. So remember, always do step by step. Once you're done with one part, as you can see, there are a lot of errors. Yep, everything's fixed. Let's now run the program, and I'm going to push. Okay, my numpad seems to be not working. All right, push. I'm going to push 50. All right, 50 has been pushed. I'm going to push again. I'm going to push 20. 20 has been pushed. I'm going to push 30. 30 has been pushed. I'm going to push 70. 70 has been pushed, and I'm going to push 60. 60 has been pushed, and let's just push one more. 63, and of course 63 can't be pushed. It says stack is full, can't push. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pop, right? 60 has been popped. 60 was at the top, so you can see 60 was the last thing that we pushed, and when you pop, it's the first thing that comes out. So pop seems to be working. Let me pop once more. 70 has been popped, 30 has been popped, 20 has been popped, 50, and finally the stack is empty, can't pop, -1 has been popped. So pop also, push and pop both seems to be working. Now we just need to do the easy thing. We just need to do peek. Actually, there's one more function we need to do. There's peek, and we also need to display everything else, right? So that's where I made the mistake. All right, guys. Peek is there, and there's also one more thing we need to do. We need to display. Oops. We need to display our stack, right? And finally, we need to also exit. Great. So we have display and exit. I'm going to put this as 5, 1, and 2. 3 remains the same, and we do actually have a case 4. We have a case 4 now, and case 4 is to display, right? Display. Great. All right. So 4, 5, all that is fixed, and I'm going to add another function over here. It's going to be called void display. It's going to show us the entire stack. I totally forgot about it. So we have pop. Pop is working. Peek, all peek does is it just returns whatever is on top. So I'm just going to return. I'm going to return stack var dot stack of stack var dot top. That's it. It's just going to return whatever is at the top. And that's our peek function. And now we have to do our display function. Void display. It just displays the entire stack one after the other. And to do this, I need another variable. I need int I, and I'm going to equate I with our top. So stack var dot top. All right, and I'm going to do a while loop, and inside this while loop, I'm going to write I is not equal to -1, and while I is not equal to -1, I'm just going to printf. We're going to print one after the other. We're going to print %d, new line, stack var dot stack of I this time. And I'm going to explain. Also, I'll explain what this does. So first things, we need the top, whatever is top. All right, so let's say I put 3 values into the stack, right? So my top is going to be at 0, 1, 2, right? I put 3 values, my stack, if I put 3 values, my top is going to be at 2. So I'm going to put I is equal to stack variable of top. So now I is 2, and while I is not equal to -1, I'm going to print each and every row. I need to do one more thing. I need to do minus minus. All right. So every time it prints, it's going to print the stack of 2 first. It's going to print stack of 2. It's going to decrement I. All right. It's going to check if I is -1. No, it isn't. So then it's going to print stack of 1. Then it's going to print stack of 0. Finally, when it decrements, it's going to I is equal to -1, and that means your stack, everything in your stack has been printed. So this is basically just prints everything in your stack. It's very simple. It's pretty straightforward. So with this, our program should be complete. I'm just going to decrease the size. I'm going to make it to 4. All right, I'm going to make it to 3. 0, 1, 2. So it's going to have 3 elements, right? Let's try this out. GCC, and we have an error. All right, let's check that out. It's over here. I did a printf, but then I didn't actually close the bracket. All right, so all right, everything is fine. Let me run it now. This is our final program. We still haven't checked if our peek and display functions are working. So let's just enter. So enter element to push, I'm going to enter 10. All right, 10 has been pushed. So now if I want to pop, it says 10 has been popped. All right, and if I'm going to display, it says invalid option. So right now 4 doesn't work, it says invalid option. Let's just see what's the problem. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It says display, it runs display, and then it runs default as well. So we need to have a break over here. All right, and another thing is peek and display shouldn't work if our stack is empty. So we need to add that too. So I'm just going to remove this return. I'm going to make it into a void. All right, we'll make it into void over here as well. And this way, it's just going to print. We don't really want it to return now. It's just going to print. It's going to print f. It's going to print f %d. All right, and there you go. So this is going to print the top of the stack. So this is going to print the top of the stack. Another thing I want to do is I should only print it if the stack isn't empty. So if I put is empty, it should not be empty. So I'm just going to put a not operator. So if it's not empty, then it does this. All right. And if it is empty, right? If it is empty, I'm just put an else, printf. I'm going to type stack is empty. So that's not my peak. I'm going to have to do the same thing for. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to do the same thing for display. So while this should only work if it is not empty. So if it is not empty, if it's not empty, then it's going to do the while loop. However, if it is empty, I'm going to put an else, print that. Oh, there's already an else here. Okay. Else is going to print printf. So now our peek and display are finally done. Let me try to run it. GCC. Oh my gosh. There's no errors. Let's finally do our program. So I'm going to push 50. Great, 50 has been pushed. Now I want to pop the 50. 50 has been popped. I'm going to try to pop something again. It says stack is empty, can't pop. I'm going to try to peek, but it says stack is empty, so I can't peek either. It's working. Display also shows that the stack is empty. Now let me try to push again. So now I want to push 60. 60 has been pushed. I want to push again. I want to push 70. 70 has been pushed. Great. And now let's try displaying it. It shows me 70 and 60. As you can see, this is my stack. And if I want to peek, it shows me the top of the stack, which is 70. Let me add some more values into it. So I'm going to push an 80. All right, so 80 has been pushed. And now if I want to display, I'm going to put 4 display. So now as you can see, 80 has come to the top, 80, 70, 60. I'm going to push something else. I'm going to put 60 again. So now I can, because remember I changed the size to 3, so that now there are only 3 elements. 60, stack is full, can't push. If I want to display, this is my stack. And if I want to peek, 80 is on the top, so this is what comes. All right, so the program is working. Let's try popping. It says 80 has been popped, and now if I display, it just shows me 70 and 60. First, we can tweak the program bit so that the output comes a bit more, to the bottom. This looks as if it's right underneath this. So I'm just going to do that real quick, and our main program is just basically complete. This is all we have to do. We've implemented a stack, a fully functioning stack with the help of a structure. Now it's just, just make the output look much more beautiful. My display function looks a bit ugly, so I'm just going to put a /n and a /t. /t is to indent. Peek also. This is my peek function. I'm just going to write the top of the stack. The stack, all right, is this, all right. I'm going to put a /n here as well. So this will make it look much more better. Okay, and let's just final running of the program before we call it a day. So I want to push 50. Rate 50 has been pushed, and now if I want to peek, it says the top of the stack is 50, and if I want to display, it just shows me 50. All right, let's say I pop this 50 has been popped, and then I go for a display. It says the stack is empty. All right, so everything's working fine. Let me enter 60, let me enter 30, let me enter a 80. All right, and now if I press on display, it shows me, it looks much more better right now. 80, 30, 60, that's my stack. And if I press on peak, it shows me top of the stack is 80. So our program is working, it's working fine. Hope you guys understood this. Try to go through it. So the code will be in the description. Check it out. Alright, this is pretty much it. And see you in the next video.